apologize about the incidents of the last day. This is not something we don't foresee. Then we should apologize. Sorry for this. Then we are going to try to start the event with a small wrap up about the last workshop. Okay, let me. Sorry, I have some problem. Okay. Let me solve the agenda. Can you see the agenda?
Yes.
Yes, okay. We will start with a wrap-up by Andreas Politis. Then we will continue with the session 2, Big Data Analytics for Risk Assessment in SMEs and Agro-Insurance. And after this, we will have an open discussion with about the feedback we get from you in the last session, and the feedback that we are going to gather today. Then, thank you very much for attending the meeting. And Andrea, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Carmen. Just a moment to share my screen. I guess now you see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I would like to welcome you as well in the second part of our insurance workshop. Don't worry, I'm not going to repeat the presentations, just a wrap up. What we saw last Wednesday, two of the pilots of the INFINITECH project that have to do with insurance business and more precisely with usage-based insurance products. Pilot 11, personalized insurance product based on IoT connected vehicles. We identified the problem in motor insurance, which was accurate risk assessment. We found the solution to this problem, which is usage-based insurance. And in INFINITECH, we are building a pay-as-you-drive service with higher level of accuracy than the existing ones. How we achieve that? By collecting real-time info from the vehicle with onboard units and combining this data with weather conditions and traffic incidences. The data we collect, as you see, is speed, acceleration, GPS location, braking, and status of wipers, blinkers, lights, etc. Then we process all this data using AI techniques and machine learning algorithms, and we create different driving profiles, from considerate to aggressive drivers. What are the business innovations in this pilot? As we said, the use of onboard units provide us with real data from vehicles, avoiding inaccuracies when reporting data. And taking into consideration for the first time in a pay-as-you-drive service, the real-time traffic information about accidents and roadworks, and real-time weather conditions. And what we get from all that, personalized motor insurance products based on the actual risk. One more innovation we have talked about is the fraud detection service. With all this data collected and processed, insurance companies have the tools now to identify most of the fraudulent acts against them. That's it briefly, the first pilot, and the next pilot, pilot 12, is real-world data for novel health insurance. Again, we said that the problem is accurate risk assessment throughout the insurance period, not just on the first enrollment. The solution is integration of real-world data. And in INFINITECH, we collect the data through the Healthy app, available in Android and iOS. And we get measured data either from inbuilt health apps or of these operating systems or from activity trackers. And we also get reported data from questionnaires within the app. The measured data are steps, distance, floors, sleep time, heart rate monitoring. And the reported data are symptoms like cough, headache, pains, liquid intake and meals, body weight, etc. What are the business innovations in this pilot? By collecting and processing data, a personal score is created for each insured, and by using AI techniques and machine learning algorithms, we have this score of the person. This way, insurance companies can provide personalized offers based on the actual risk, and insureds will see the premiums adapted in their behavior and lifestyle. So this may be a motivation to a healthier way of life. As you have said, this innovation will reveal a new challenge, the fraud detection. And our approaches to deal with this challenge are to train properly the algorithm in order to detect abnormal behaviors by using trusted data from our volunteers, and to provide the insureds with real advice on their health. So they will be tempted to give real data. That's it in a nutshell, the two pilots we saw 2 days ago. I hope that this time session 2 will run smoothly. I will be back with you in the last session of the workshop for the roundtable discussion to see the results of your answers. And don't worry, you don't have to answer them again.
Many thanks, Andreas, for your presentation, for your wrap up.
Okay, now it's the critical point, if I can stop sharing my screen.
Yes, you can stop. And we should give the floor to Carlos Alvo from We Analyze.
Hi.
Good morning, Carlos.
Good morning.
He's going to be the chair of the session 2 about big data analytics for risk assessment in SMEs and agro. Then please, Carlos, the floor is yours.
Are you watching my screen already?
Yes, we will see your screen.
Great. Seems that everything is going well today. Okay, so thank you all for repeating assistance to this workshop. Pilot 13 is about how we can find information to improve the databases and to know better the clients from the perspective of the insurance companies. So the title is Alternative and Automated Insurance Risk Selection over SMEs. So, sorry. Oh. Let me, I think that you are not watching anything now.
No.
Okay. So, what is the problem that we have found, or we are trying to solve, is the SMEs information that insurance companies has normally is not updated and is inaccurate, because when insurance company get information from an SMEs to sell the policy, this information, I mean, the policy is renewed yearly. Every year the policy is going to be renewed, but the information is not going to be retrieved again from the SMEs. So for the reason, the databases from these insurance companies are inaccurate, so they are ignoring the appearance of new risks, and they are also ignoring the situation of the real risk that they are having, the SMEs that are client of them. So the effects that now insurance sector or industry is suffering is that based on this outdated information, they cannot automate processes. So more difficult to have this digitalization, and also they are adding manual tasks and manual checking tasks to check if the information is okay and is updated, and they are using lower quality of data to take decision over the risk. So this causes a lot of inefficiency process, and they, if we can solve this problem, we can boost the efficiency of these kind of processes in the insurance companies. So the solution that we are constructing or building in Pilot 13 is a platform or a module of the platform that can automate these kind of processes, picking up this information from open sources. So because in this digitalized world, we can almost find 98% of information that is needed from the insurance companies to update these databases. So if we are successful on that, these companies are going to be able to automate process, so they are going to be more effective, and also they could have better risk. They will be able to do better and more accurate risk assessment. So the two goals of this pilot is to automate two things. First is risk mapping. I mean, when one company in my portfolio or coming from outside is asking is asking for something, we are going to be able to just with name and others of the company, we are going to be able to retrieve information and to set up a risk map to know which are the risks of this company. And as a consequence of this point, we are going to be able to offer a customized offering of this kind of insurance policies to this company. So this means to change the concept that the insurance industry has now with SMEs, because normally they are just offering the normal insurance that they suppose that this company is going to need. We are proposing to monitorize this and automatically retrieve this information and keep it updated in the insurance companies. So to do that, we have deployed a methodology of 4 steps. So insurers send the data, including customer business name and postal code or address that, as I said before. Why we are just using these 2 fields of information to start the operation is because normally insurance industry has problem with the silos of information. So it's very frequent that they are not able to retrieve all the information coming from their system. So for the reason we wanted to do it as easy as possible. So we have been able to retrieve this information just taking name and address. So the data is captured. We have developed a robot based on instant and extension in our Amazon systems that pick up until 50 data points per second. So we are able to retrieve a very complete data map from these SMEs, from these enterprises, to build this risk mapping. So the data is automatically analyzed, compared, updated, verified, and enriched. And if we have access to the insurance company, we also can update this information in their system. And finally, this information about risk, about the profile of the enterprises, is delivered back to the insurance company. So now my colleague, Roger Ferrandis, is going to comment the process with an example.
Thank you, Carlos. So as you can see on the left side, the column called insurers data will be the data that we will be receiving from the insurance company. So they will be sending basic information such as the name, address, number of employees, and activity. What the platform does is it gets this information and it finds the exact same information of this company in open data sources. And once this information is found, it is compared to the information that the insurance company sent to us. So we either confirm that the information was correct, we update the information in case it was not correct. And the second point, we are adding other external data points that are related to the risk of this enterprise, but are not usually considered by insurance companies. So it changes the risk of a restaurant, whether they are doing delivery or not, especially in this context. But it also changes the risk if they have bad opinions, depending on the rating as well, and also when the last manager was changed. So we are enriching this data with external data points that are related to the risk. After that, we build risk indicators by mixing these risk data points in order to have a scoring system of these enterprises. The scoring system allows the insurance companies to make better decisions on whether the premium should go up or down in order to be closer to the real risk of these enterprises, or if they should not renew the policies or renew the policies but with different coverages. So at the end, what we are demonstrating here is that these risk indicators we have built have a direct correlation with the claim propensity of these companies. And we can allow insurance companies to have a more predictable model in their claim prediction. So by having this more predictable model, they can manage to make better decisions on their clients and potential clients, and so they can reduce the loss ratio of the whole portfolio of customers. You can continue, Carlos.
Thank you, Roger. So here there are some screenshots for, in that case, you can see here, sorry it's in Spanish, but it's about risk regarding cyber, GDPR, technological level, and the level that they are having with GDPR. So and also we can monitorize the changes of the level of risk in the time. If we can put it in a timeline, so we can know the evolution of this risk. Also, we can let's say predict and set up a customized profile of products regarding insurance that this enterprise is going to need. So based on the things that we have been talking about, what are the business innovation? So, well, as I said before, until now, this has only been once in life for the policy, just when the policy has been sold, that this information has been picked up. So now we can allow to insurance monitorize the activities and the risk evolution of SMEs in any point of time. Normally, we have set up once or twice per year, because normally is to do it just before the renewal process, 2 months before that the new policy has been renewed. So that adds a lot of advantages to the insurance company, as we have been saying before, and also my colleague Rie has said regarding the reduction of the loss ratio and etc. So about the indicators that we are using to measure these metrics at a faster process, we can increase the speed in the process, or to increase the automation from 20% to 100%, depending on the insurance products that we are talking about. Obviously, it's not the same if we talk about property or if we talk about general liability. For example, property, we are reaching to 60%, 70%, and general liability, we can reach to 100%. Better knowledge of the SMEs, we can update until this figure is not exactly right. We can update until 98% of the data before the renewal, and the quality increase a lot, because more than 50% of the data that come from clients has been corrected or added. So the pilot architecture has four main pillars, but the most important one is that we have a very flexible data acquisition, so we can adapt our acquisition of data to any source of this kind of information, and also we can deploy as much as robots to get this information as we want. So we don't mind to analyze 3 enterprises or 3 million of enterprises. So it's very efficient from the cost point of view. So it's globally scalable. So because we are counting with the polyglot component from the INFINITECH consortium, and also regarding language processing system. And we have already proven risk indicators that that could demonstrate to cut demo to our clients or future clients of the INFINITECH consortium that the pilot is successful. Well, finally, just a brief review of the technology that we are using in our pilot that come from the INFINITECH consortium, that are relational database, polyglot to have this global scalability, visualization preparation, and then also models based on machine learning like benchmark, k-means, random forest. So yeah, that's it. So thank you very much for your attention. You have here the address, the URL, and the number of questionnaire to answer the question. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Now, thank you again for joining this meeting, and I will share with you the link for the questionnaire. This is the questionnaire number 3. So you have 2 options to access to this questionnaire. In the chat, you have the direct link, or if someone has the mobile app, so just use this code. I would like to mention that all answers are anonymous, so please provide your feedback. I will give you a few seconds to give us your answers. Okay, yeah, the pool is open.
Dimitri, sorry if I may suggest, maybe we can also run the first poll from Wednesday, the intro poll, also again today to.
I don't know. What do you prefer, Carmen? What do you think about launch the first poll? We already have collected a lot of answers from the first and the second pool, so actually, I don't know. Probably in the last session we could repeat it. But
let's see. Let's proceed, and if you have had enough time, we can do it.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have just 7. Okay, so let's switch to the second question. Okay, let's go with the third. Perfect. And the last one? Okay, perfect. Just to remind you that all result will be shared with all of you in the last session, a roundtable session, in order to discuss these results. So please continue with the presentation. Thanks.
Many thanks, Dimitris. Then we will continue with the following presentation. Please, we will have Gregory from Mitaco from Agro. The presentation is called Big Data and IoT for the agricultural insurance industry. Good morning, Gregory. The floor is yours. Can you share your
Thank
screen?
you, Carmen. Yes, good morning, everyone. I hope that thank you for being once more here today. For us, it's important. Can you see my screen?
We are seeing the Teams application.
Excellent. That's a good start.
Yes.
Let me show. Yes. Excellent.
We see now. Perfect. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. You're welcome. So we are, we'll present you on behalf of AgroApps what we're doing in the pilot 14, where alongside with our pilot partner, Genlard & Co., we are developing within INFINITECH, building on top of the INFINITECH infrastructure to deliver a commercial service module for the agriculture insurance sector. We name it AGI module, considering that we are building on top of the diverse infrastructure of INFINITECH, baselining the services that you will see later on the slides, on top of big data coming from Earth observation, from weather information, of course, and IoT devices. But what we have learned so far as Pilot 14 and through our past and present collaborations with insurance sector partners is that there are a number of, let's say, three main pillars of issues of sectoral bottlenecks. The insurance companies consider that for the time being to the current operation, the cost of insurance process is very high. They quite often missing data for structuring and developing their product. And of course, in several times they are identifying or have access to broken down to dispersal data sets that they are not homogenized or long enough in terms of timeline series in order to exploit and build things. The second, of course, is even if they find such long data sets or appropriate data sets, how they can ensure that the quality of data is up to the point, to the level they wish, how it will be possible to combine those diverse data sources, the complexity of a number of models that need to be put into place in order to suffice and control and support their operations, and of course, at the end of the day, what's the appropriate or the available size of data. Of course, lastly, those two first, let's say, pillars add up to the third more important pillar. How we can exploit all that if the background, let's say, data or information is not very accurate, how we can properly do our risk mapping or automate somehow the costly process of damage assessment. But this was our understanding so far. What do you think? Dimitri will share for you the link to our first two questions, where we would really appreciate your feedback on the first question, which is what will be your highest priority in terms of business intelligence tools? And of course, the second, what will be your understanding with regards to risk pricing and modeling within your organization? Dimitri, please, if you could share the link with the attendees.
Yes, one second. Okay. Questionnaire 4. Okay. This is the link.
And the number?
Yes, if someone.
So in the first question, as I mentioned, we want to learn about your operations. What do you think will be the highest priority in terms of business intelligence tools for your organization? What is the most, let's say, structural thing? What will be priority for you? What do you think that it will make a better difference in your organization approaching it? And the second, it's with regards to your risk pricing modeling and where would you see it more appropriate and fitting?
You can see the number is 904882. If you want to use the mobile application.
Okay, the second question. Oh.
think we can continue.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can continue. Yeah, we have enough of answers.
So on top of those, let's say, assured bottlenecks and issues, what INFINITECH AGI module has to produce or procure for you, it's of course a plethora of EU data, allowing you to monitor the current status of your contracts as well as to go back to the historic records of your contracts. We are utilizing a plethora of satellites and satellite data coming from Sentinel, where we have a high resolution of 10 by 10 meters. We can, let's say, use data from Sentinel back from 2016. We are utilizing MODIS going back to 2001. We use Landsat that goes back to 2013, of course, radar data. And we mix those on top of weather intelligence formation, so we can provide you with near real-time weather in scales up to 2 by 2 kilometers where it is needed for very steep topography and very diverse microclimatic conditions. We're resembling gridded observations, and our weather forecasting on, again, 2 by 2 kilometers can be quite useful information, providing you information beforehand for next 48 hours so that you can handle your teams with regards to where they need to be deployed and where the possible risks might be, but as well other forecasting horizons like monthly, weekly, 6 monthly, seasonal, and of course decadal forecasting. How we achieve that? By utilizing also 3, let's say, main data sources, and of course the valuable information coming from the insurance companies. As I said, we are utilizing a plethora of satellite constellations, a plethora of radar and non-radar data for Earth observation, for weather, satellite 2 bucket, and of course we request the minimum size of information coming from from the insurance companies in order to provide the highest accuracy and the most actionable information back to them. What does this mean in terms of processing? As a line, we are using the Earth observation to provide some basic Earth observation services, and alongside, by grabbing the weather intelligence engine, we can provide on top of your area of interest and according to the metadata that you provide, a plethora of services on top of weather or remote sensing images or damage assessment or any other kind of service that you wish. Those services are finally can be given either through a platform, a user interface, where you can have a very wide selection of visualized data, thematic maps, or perform any other calculations or analysis. And of course, all those services and data can be transformed into actionable things for your operations. At this point, we would like to know what would better fit your organization. Would the system, would you be one of the actors requesting for a new system, or would you prefer an API integration with your system? This is the first question that Dimitri will share with you. And of course, the second most important information is what is the level of weather and climate forecasting that will be essential for your organization. I would like to thank you in advance for answering both questions. Dimitri, if you could proceed.
Yes, it's the same link. And now you have the third question, which is open on the same pool. So just use the same link. I will share it with you again, but basically it's the same.
As I mentioned, the first question has to do on the service delivery. What will be the preferable model for your organization on the basis of your own infrastructure currently, on the basis of how you're doing business right now? We always prefer to reduce the amount of noise or of change that needs to be performed within an organization. Thus, any response from your side will be useful for us to better understand the needs of the sector. And of course, similarly, on the next question with regards to weather and climate forecasting related information, Out of those available through the AGI module, what would be the more critical, the most important aspect or most important information service for your organization?
Okay, and the last one.
So now,
Yeah, I think it's fine.
we can go.
So yeah,
Yes.
please continue, and I will finish with the final report with all answers, and I will share it with you in a couple of
Excellent.
minutes.
Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you all for your responses once more. So the combination of the two main modules of INFINITECH AGI results in a number of services that we are showcasing here, but nevertheless, it's not an exhaustive one. There are a lot of things that they can be built on top of those, but let's see some main ones. Of course, first and foremost, it's the intelligence risk assessment and risk mapping, considering that when you wish to enter a new market or to endeavor in a totally new continent, and there is a lack of historical data to support your operations and your new premium and product calculations and development, we can provide with these services so that you have an accurate estimation of what it is there for you. The same applies, of course, the same reasons apply and the same rationale applies also to current existing markets. We have the climate crisis changing all the time the patterns of weather phenomena, and of course, accordingly changing the risk that is involved and is inherited within agriculture insurance and insurance in general. So on the basis of past and future climatology, we can associate risks, we can understand, utilizing remote sensing data, what kind of crops, which are the dominant ones, what's the change in the patterns, what is expected to be harvested, and provide you with very extensive analysis of risk and, of course, of what areas seem of higher risk in combination of dominant crops and weather phenomena, on top of what kind of products you wish, insurance products you wish to deploy there, etc., etc. Of course, also for near real-time weather information and for doing and continuing your operations in an untroubled and unhassled way, the weather and climate information services, as I said, as I mentioned earlier, near real-time information with regards to any of the weather phenomena or extreme weather phenomena or agrometeorologic conditions. All this information is available to the agriculture insurance sector, alongside with different forecasting periods, starting from the longest one, decadal, downscaling to seasonal, to 9 monthly, 6 monthly, monthly, weekly, etc., etc. All this information can assist you in handling or expecting what is going to happen on top of your insured parcels or on top of your insured customers, and also empower you to react quicker in your remote damage assessments or in your in-field damage assessment where this is a requirement. And thus we jump on the next offered services, the remote damage assessment. Consider that following any calamity taking place over the insured parcels that have been depicted within the INFINITECH AGI module, the weather intelligence produces an early report of whether those have been affected or not, providing you with a first list of which parcels, which contracts are in risk, which contracts are not in risk. And then the remote damage assessment service follows, utilizing remote sensing data and Earth satellite data in order to give you a first zoning and calculation of potential losses, of how much the payments could be in cases where you have all those information filled within it. But of course, it can also assist in the portfolio management, in the company portfolio management, to know whether the contracts already there are of high risk or low risk, depending on the future climatology, and also give you an idea on how better to mix your contracts and your portfolio in order to further reduce the risk exposure for your organization. Lastly, but equally important, as we started with the intelligent risk assessment and mapping, and we said about new markets and new areas, the same applies for the insurance product development. Whether this is for upscaling an already provided product or whether it is for building a new product, whether this product is going to be indemnity-based or parametric on top of index insurance, the AGI module can give you the right information in order to structure, to calculate the risk, to include or disinclude the perils that you wish to cover, and of course, to make the relative financial assessment on top of what's our ratio, how much our premium shall be, what's the cost and the profit of providing this insurance product. Of course, this is, as I said earlier, a selection of the available services. On top of those services, on top of all this plethora of data, we can structure more. A lot of the details and of the services are open to be manipulated, to be used, to be transformed alongside to the sector requests. And of course, the plethora of data are there for you to utilize it. Pilot 14 and our AGI module, both AgroApps and Geniland and Co., we are open. We are having already a number of insurance companies wishing to pilot test the AGI module, but at the same time, there is an open invitation for any other insurance company that wishes to pilot test and work with us within the frame of the project to reach out to us, discuss how we can serve them, what is their current portfolio, what is their current insurance product portfolio, in which markets they are working, and why not to pilot test operationally or make new products or make any new pilot attempts together on top of the AGI module. This, of course, will provide you with hands-on experience on what it is there and how useful we consider our services and what we're developing to be for you, but will also allow us to have a better understanding of the sector and where your needs lie. So all considered, thank you for your attention and thank you for being here on the second day. Please reach out to me if you would like to discuss further on top of the platform, on top of the services, all to see how we can work together on a pilot operation. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Gregory. Good presentation and very interesting. Then now,
thank you, Carmen.
Yes. Carlos, the floor is yours.
Hi again.
Yes, we can start with the round. I suppose that you are going to receive briefly the results of the questionnaire. Mm-hmm. Do you want to put in your screen, or maybe Dimitri? How do you want?
Yes, 1 second. I just.
I think that is maybe it's better, Dimitri, because so we can avoid any kind of technical problems. If you don't mind, Dimitri.
Yeah, sure. 1 second. Yeah, it's already done. So. questionnaire. Okay, perfect. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, basically, the start is about the numbers. So in the first session, we had around 69%. Today, unfortunately, we have just 22 participants, but it's still a good number. So the total number of provided questions were 17. And starting from with results for the first pilot, so we had around 39 active participants, and joined participants there were 49. The pool votes, total votes, they are more than 100, and interaction was like around 4 answers per pool as medium. So this is the first question, intro question, for which insurance sector you are interested in. So you can see the majority were from motor, then we have agriculture, property, other, and health.
Okay. So very interesting. So Matthew, I think that the insurance companies are much more interested in or coming from the auto insurance part. So maybe someone have any kind of question about these results, or can ask anything. You can do it. Raise your hand or just write in the chat. Any kind of comment or about this or the pilot that has been introduced last day or today. Okay, Dimitris, maybe we can move to the next question.
Yes, for the next question. Sure. Yeah, the second one, as you can see, the majority answered yes, as long as it completes to all active regulations. It's more than 71%.
Okay, so this second question is very, very interesting because that means, from my point of view, that we are very, let's say, focused and we are in the right time, in the right moment, because it seems that all the participants in the poll, they are trying to implement these artificial intelligence techniques and technology to be able these decisions. So the other thing is that how we can, let's say, have or to test that everything is being. I mean, one of the more difficult points here is to obviously to be able to demonstrate that we are comply with the active regulation. I think that is a very important point, because I think that the insurance companies, they are eager to use this kind of technologies, but due that this very regulated sector or industry, we have to be able to transmit a solid idea that we are going to comply with all the regulation. So next question.
Sorry, Carlos. Can
Okay.
I interrupt you?
Sure.
Yes, I don't know if how many people from the driving insurance cars we have today on the session, but I would like to know if any of you, any insurance companies or motor providers, I don't know, have tried or have checked any solution based on capturing data from the drivers. I know there are some initiatives already running in some insurance companies that tries to involve the driver in the data capturing, but I don't know if someone of the attendees has the chance to try any of these novel or incoming solutions. Do we have any?
Please feel free to unmute yourself. So you are more than welcome to comment anything regarding the Ignacio question. Maybe this answer, well, obviously this answer comes from the other day mainly, Dimitris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's the first session. Yeah.
Okay.
It's from other.
Okay, so we can assume that today we don't have any kind of insurance company that is from the car, from the car sector or any kind of car maker. Carmen, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to highlight that the relevance and the importance of this in the question 3, the answer B. People are willing to give the data, but also as companies, in our case, software companies, or the insurance company, should guarantee the privacy. This is something very relevant that I think the number of the percentage is high. More than the half of the attendees were willing to give their data, but also guaranteeing the privacy. This is something I think is changing, and people are evaluating the risk of giving their data and getting better prices in order to get new kind of insurance. I think this is a relevant point in this questionnaire.
Yeah, and just to mention that this data is provided by 27 votes. So this question was the second most voted. It's a number of 27 votes. So.
Okay. Maybe we can have a brief overview of all the answer, and then we can go back to review everything and open more questions. So Dimitri,
okay,
you
so
can
let's
go
continue with
let's
continue with the pilot 12. So as the previous one, this one had a huge audience. We had more than 33 participants. Pool votes, there are more than 100 answers. So, and the first question, as you can see, majority answered yes. I think you can see the question. Yep. Yes. And the second, we have a little bit. The second one, it was the multi-answered questions with 3 options. So majority, we have a physical activity or exercise. The second one, we have diet, nutrition, and the third is common symptoms. Okay, let's continue.
Okay. Yeah, let's continue.
Yeah, then we have the third answer as dashboards with graph tables of personal data across the time, but it's still this one. They are not so unique leader. The fourth is yes or maybe. And the fifth is very interesting that majority people vote from user experience data, not so much for contact information or how they discover your business. Majority voted for user experience data. It's very interesting. Okay, let's continue with the pilot. The next pilots. Okay, yeah, this one was not so active. It's from today's session. So basically we had less participants, but it's still, yeah, the data is this.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Every year.
But it's the answer to the question 3 are very interesting.
Mm.
Because this gives a lot of room in order to improve this kind of insurance policies, no?
Yeah, I mean, well,
if you allow me, Carlos, I'm
yeah,
surprised
please.
that
Yeah, I'm surprised also.
Never has 0 votes. I would expect that never would be an option. It's good there never is not an option yet.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, the interesting thing on those 2 pilots, 13 and 14, to know how many votes we have received. I mean, because obviously a percentage could be, let's say, could be misunderstanding, because if you are just voting 2-3 people, so well, we will be interested later to know. I mean, comparing with the first session that we had more people attending into it. Okay, Dimitris, you can move forward.
Okay, yeah. The last pilots, as you can see, the medium of participants and collected votes, they are around 10 answers per question. So. And yes, as you can see, the first one it was kind of separated. We can see the leader as risk data analysis. And the second one, it was a multiple choice. The participant had to choose around, it was a maximum of 3 answers. So this is the result. And the last ones.
This question 3 in pilot 14 is also a surprise for me, because I mean, normally we have a lot of problems to integration in our flow of information into insurance companies. So it's I mean, it's curious that 50% they are thinking to use, well, it's a preferred mode. Okay, it's not a mode that they are already using. So, because I don't think that they have so many APIs connectivity to use it in 50% of the cases. Maybe Grigoris, you have more information, more experience on that.
Well, more or less, consider that insurance companies are large organizations already having some kind of ERP, SAP, or other internal systems. The idea behind this is what will be your preference in terms of consuming or delivering or receiving those services. For me, it's reasonable to see, let's say, divided opinions, because yes, you might have already a very closed system that you cannot, let's say, upscale or connect through an API to other external services. But at the same time, there are a lot of companies utilizing systems that you can already connect on them an API and maximize the usage of one central tool. It's in all cases it is more or less divided like that, because consider insurance companies are holding a number of information there in central systems. They would not wish to externalize this information. So in that term, API system a lot into only consuming services without, let's say, sharing more information than those needed. On the other hand, of course, a web platform may assist them in to have distinct operations per department, for example, doing the underwriting only or using services that have to do only with their underwriting department and associate the platform with this department, or only with damages handlers department, etc., etc. I would say it's a reasonable case, and the results seem reasonable in those questions as well. The same applies for question 4, where you have two different horizons, 7 to 10 days prognostic horizon. This is, of course, something we have seen in the past. It allows companies to empower themselves and prepare themselves for forthcoming calamities in the short-term horizon. And of course, the seasonal climate, the 9-month prognostic horizon, it fits a little bit with the way that contracts are being renewed in agriculture insurance. So I would expect this also to be a straightforward response.
Okay, thank you, Grigoris. Any kind of question from the entities about, okay, Carmen, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question from Grigoris regarding the fraud in this kind of insurance. Do you think this kind of solution are going to help to the companies to determine in a better way the fraud of people is?
Yes, of course. I consider that in the INFINITECH HCI module, the combined usage of the weather intelligence engine and earth observation data can assist companies into decrease their operational cost, especially when visiting, or when they need to perform on-field visits in order to check the rightness or falseness of a claim. So on the basis of HCI module, any insurance company can see when it receives a claim from one of their farmers or one of their contractees, whether their parcel has been affected by a weather phenomena, whether there has been any damage in this parcel, and accordingly, they can either prioritize the visit, if it's false, to leave it as last, if it is indeed affected by the calamity, to prioritize their team visit, their team in-field visit earlier on, according, of course, to the European regulations. And this is also something that does not only affect the agriculture insurance part, but also, if understood correctly, on the basis of early answers from the rest of the pilots, regulation with regards to personal data and what kind of data you can, let's say, acquire and retain, it seems to be very important in the adoption of such solutions. We have seen it in the first pilot presentation. I think we have seen it also in Carlos with regards to regulations, and it seems evident in all insurance cases, I guess.
Thank you.
Okay, so now Maria, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, thank you, Carlos. I was wondering, Gregory, if it is possible to show the attendees also just a quick insight into the prototype for one of the services that we are developing.
It could be, but unfortunately, given that we have not inserted any contracts, temporary or demo contracts, it will be not very useful for the time being, unfortunately. Okay. But it's a quite straightforward process, to be frank. Let me give a little, let's say, roadmap, at least vocally. Consider that to add, let's use the case where you have access to the platform. To add and start working or using the platform, the first thing that you need to do is to add information, the minimum required information for the platform. This means the boundaries of the parcel or of the parcels that you have under contract, and of course, the calamities that the parcel or the contract stipulates. From that point on, the system calculates, takes continuously remote sensing satellite images to provide to you the crop growth stages of the parcel, so that you are monitoring the actual growth of the crops in the parcel. So at any given point, you can have a comparison between prior to calamity and after calamity. At the same time, you're acquiring any information with regards to alerts for coming phenomena, or even after a phenomenon, the extent of the calamity that took place. Of course, those are the parts of the service that have to do with the actual monitoring and performing more, let's say, easy the everyday tasks around the contract. Prior to the contract, you have access to an ample amount of information, whether this is climatic, meteorological, etc. So you can take into consideration any of, let's say, of the variables that you would like in terms of frequency of extreme weather phenomena, either in the past or in the future. As I said earlier, dominant crops, what it is there, how many past calamities have took place, etc. So on top of this information, you can better handle and perform a number of operations. I will not name everyone now, but it's, premium underwriting, damage handling, risk assessing, risk exposure, etc.
Okay, I think there is another question from Roger. Roger, please.
All the startups that are working with data.
Sorry, can you repeat again the question, because the sound is badly. I think that we have some problem with the microphone of Roger. Well, anyway.
Maybe Roger can type his question?
Yeah, maybe you can type it in the chat, please. Well, anyway, while Roger is typing the question, any other question about that? I wanted to ask one question to Ignacio regarding monitorization of cars and traffic. Are you using any kind of device that has to be installed in the vehicle, or just monitoring through cameras or whatever?
Well, it depends. Currently, vehicles already implement all the network, the sensor network we show in our slides. The only thing missing, let's say missing to gather this information, is some kind of device that connects the onboard computer of the car with the cloud. Modern vehicles already implement this kind of solutions in order to communicate with different companies or different entities in order to rise an accident or whatever. But there are some manufacturers that implement what we call within the pilot onboard units that only captures information from the central computer of the car and uploads according to their standards to the main service, to the main cloud of that company. It's not so difficult to implement these kind of devices. There are some utilities that already manage the standards of the vehicle manufacturer in order to capture the information. There are some Android applications that already manage this kind of data. But there are also different ways to capture information. Not only, that's why I asked in the very beginning if some of the attendees has already tested this kind of solution, because information about the speed, about acceleration and location of the cars can be captured through mobile phones. That is the approach that I know that some companies are already trying. The difference here is we managed to capture real data from the car itself, from the car infrastructure. But the vehicles we have for the pilot implement an onboard unit built by CITAC that captures and uploads this information. And I know that current manufacturers are implementing already this kind of solutions already on the embedded computer of the car.
Okay, thank you, Ignacio. So now I'm going to read the question of Roger that has been written down in the chat. It's about, well, he's asking about how do you, I mean, for all of you, how do you convince to the banks or, well, mainly insurance companies that the external data that you are providing, I mean, coming from sensor or from satellites or whatever, that is accurate and has enough quality to modify policies and coverages, or maybe to pay the claims and so on. So just I'm going to try to summarize the question. Do you have any kind of problems trying to say that this information has good quality and is accurate for the proposals?
I guess I can start first.
Okay,
from our point of view, it's the number of data and the data sources that we utilize. Consider that, for example, let's start with Earth observation images. Those are coming from well-known satellite constellations, so there is no, let's say, somehow objection or a doubt with regards to it. The same applies also with the information coming from the weather and the weather intelligence engine, where we downscale essentially and we remodel, resimulate global models. In the majority of the case, I would say the most serious issue or the most important issue that at least that we are facing, not only as Pilot 14, but as companies trying to work with the insurance sector, is that it's a vast sector, it's a big sector, and you have very big and well-established companies. And because it's not a relatively new sector, this means that they have processes in place, they have their own way and their own proprietary models for underwriting, for risk assessment, for everything. Consider now that any of the digitalized, let's say, solutions, or even our solution or any other solutions that are currently being developed or are in development in the market, are somehow requesting a period of change, a period of the companies trying to adapting, and of course to work on top of the providers in order to repopulate what we are doing in terms of digital tools and services, and remix those on top of their proprietary algorithms. This is, I think, from our perspective, the toughest condition in order to work. It's their early hesitation for performing this change, and of course, a lengthy period of mixing what it's proprietary theirs and mix it on top of the services that we are providing.
Okay. So from I think that from our pilot, I'm going to talk about the experience in Pilot 13. For us, it's an important part because through that, I mean, in other sense, that comparing with Grigory has said that we are using open data sources. So for us, it's a very important point that we have to, let's say, justify or show to test that the information that we are using and retrieving from other sources is valid. But it's easy for us because comparing with the source that is used in the insurance company, we are much more updated, and is the final user or the insurer that is putting this information in their own websites. So for us, it's a, well, let's say it's a important point that has to be proven to the, I mean, in front of the insurance company. I don't know if maybe you, Ignacio, are in the more or less the same case regarding auto and health than Grigory's, or do you have any kind of comments regarding that?
Perhaps in this sense, Aristodemos, I think, is already on board.
Yes,
Has a better view because from the motor area, just we have to show the data. It's easy for us to demonstrate because even when you go to the motor garage and your car is connected to a device, you can see a lot of information there of your car. That's the kind of information we are collecting. So it's just a test. You can get the car of any of the insured client and just demonstrate that the information collected is the same that they are using with the car. But perhaps with the health sector has more relevance. This question can have some more can be more relevant for this area.
Well, for the health sector, the accuracy of the sensors is the least of our concerns. We are not trying to do medical diagnosis here. We are trying to validate lifestyle. And if we miss a little bit of this or a little bit of that, we don't really care about it. What we do care is about habits and trends in these habits and how these lead to a better or worse lifestyle. Our biggest problem is not the quality of the sensors. It is how the customers of the insurance companies will collaborate with this system. Fraud is our biggest enemy here. And we try to combat fraud in two ways. First of all, do what the healthcare sector would also do. You shouldn't lie to your doctor because you will get bad advice. So if we can convince the people that there is some advice to be obtained from the machine learning algorithms, and when things are more or less okay, they don't need a doctor, they can just get the advice from the algorithms, then maybe they will be a little bit more truthful in the way they allow us to collect data. On the other hand side, we are also planning to do some machine learning and signal processing efforts in order to detect crazy stuff. So outliers will be flagged and they will be examined by the decision makers, and this way we will reduce the risk. We have in mind that fraud can never be eliminated altogether. We do know about people making great inventions to trick their activity trackers just to get an extra badge in the application they are using. Imagine what they will do if they have to earn a few euros off from their premiums if they fool the sensors. So this is an inherent problem we have to address, and not the actual accuracy of the sensor itself.
Okay, thank you, Aristodemos. We are just finishing our time, so there is maybe just one more or last question. So any of the attendees want to ask for something else? If not, well, please raise your hand. If not, I will ask again. I will ask again to Aristodemos. Because I'm very curious about, I mean, obviously data protection is very important in everything, but maybe it's not so affecting to pilot regarding auto insurance or agro or SMEs, because, you know, we are handling, in our case, legal person. So how do you handle this issue with the insurance company? Because you are, I guess you are dealing with health information regarding people that is insured.
Yes, we are dealing with such information. we do two different things. When we are collecting information just to train our models and our machine learning algorithms, then the information is anonymized, and we take great care in the INFINITECH project to achieve this. Not just pseudo anonymization by just using IDs, but full anonymization of the data. Of course, we have to be careful because this full anonymization might kill the outliers, and it's the outliers that actually indicate the performance we should be looking for. So it's a trick there, but we are handling it. It's a big part of our work. On the other hand side, when it comes to using the system, well, the customer of the insurance company is accepting that they will commit some information to the insurance company in the initial interview they are having. They need to be convinced that they will keep on committing information to their insurance company as they go on with the insurance products they have, if they want to have these extra services. So in that case, the data cannot be anonymized anymore because the insurance company needs to know that the data from person X has led to decision Y and then correlate the two. So that's what is happening here. For this reason, we are also running these days a campaign, a survey actually, with the general public, trying to get the pulse of their feelings towards sharing such information with their insurance providers. So we are actually considering different benefits they can have, from little gifts like a new activity trackers to discounts in their premiums, or to advice that the system can give them, and how these can actually influence the general public's decision to commit this data to their insurance companies.
Well, thank you, Alex. Yeah, I have to say that I have been working for a long time in data protection. So I will be if we can see these kind of results of these surveys, will be very, very interesting, because it's a very important point to know the opinion of the people, in order that if you are, willing or not to share this kind of information to get these discounts or whatever. Okay, so I think it's time. So thank you all for your attention. Thank you for your questions, and I pass the turn to Carmen to close the event.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Thank you all of you, because this amazing presentation. Also, thank you for the participants. Thank you to Dimitri supporting us with the Slido. And I would like to highlight that we have demonstrated that we are able to get a lot of interest, a lot of people participating in this webinar. I am sure that we are going to repeat this kind of experience and with a lot of success. Then, thank you. Have a good day, have a good weekend, and also Easter if you are going to start the holidays. Thank you. Stay safe.
Okay,
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you all.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.